welcome back to season 1, I'm calling it, of the Unlaced podcast. The first few episodes, I feel like it was a pilot season for us, so pretty pumped to be in the new studio. We're all decked out. Even more excited to bring this season now. We've always focused on humanising athletes and looking at the athlete, the in-depth perspectives that they have and what they do. And there's probably no better to speak to than today than Michael Pretty Boy Zerafa. It's a pleasure to have you here, man.
Right, thanks for having me. It's a honour.
It's big, man. I've been a fan for a while. I've watched a lot of your fights, as I was just saying to you before we jumped on. But I probably want to get straight into it, man. Like 2 weeks to your fight, Anthony Mundine. I think the date's set now, March 13th.
March 13th, yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Like I said, it's a fight I've always wanted for 15 years in the making. So I'm excited. Like I said, I've had a 14-month layoff, and I'm hungry, man. I just want to get back in there and do what I was born to do and dance under those lights and, do it in front of a huge stacked crowd at Bendigo and, with it, the man himself, Anthony Mundine, who's dominated not only boxing, but, rugby as well. So he's a legend in the sport.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because we spoke of this and it's probably been well documented. I actually wanted to ask if it was truth or a myth, and you kind of did give me some light that it was truth. But you wrote to Anthony Mundine
yeah.
when you were a young boy, pretty much saying, like, bro, I'm going to come out and I'm going to end your career.
Yeah, 13 years old. I remember, like I said, I was a big fan of Anthony Mundine, and he's probably where I am today because of his career. And, 13 on MySpace back then, I think, pretty sure it was. And I just said to him one day, I'm going to fight, I'm going to retire. And he replied saying, if you're looking to be beat, I'm the man to meet. And I left him on scene. And 15 years later, I'll get my opportunity. And he said, if Zerafa beats him, I will retire. So,
man,
I'm excited, man.
That's pretty surreal, bro.
Yeah. So, like I said, chase your dreams.
Yeah,
and,
man.
That will happen. Work hard.
See that come to reality. That's pretty crazy. And I've seen you guys talking some smack like no tomorrow, building up for this fight, which is crazy. But can you talk to us a little bit about your fight camp? Because it's probably been a bit unordinary with COVID.
Where do I start? It's been up and down, mixed emotions all around. This fight was meant to happen last year in April. But obviously because COVID kicked in and the fight never got cancelled. So it was always just postponed. And the body's just been pushing ever since April last year. So I've been in camp for, come March 13, 14 months. And it's been tough mentally. And obviously physically, I'm training twice a day, some days even 3, 6, 7 days a week. So I haven't had a day off.
That's crazy, man.
In legit 14 months. So I'm looking forward to it coming to an end. I've got one more week of pushing real hard, and then I'll start tapering down a little bit. And I'm hanging for that last week just to switch off.
So for you, because what's a sort of normal training week for you? Are you training every day, multiple times a day? Are you doing cardio in the ring, sparring? Like, is it a variety?
Yeah,
of
so
everything?
it's a variety of things, and I train for about 4 or 5 hours, sometimes 6 to 8 hours with recovery. I'll start at like say 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning. I'll get home at 7:30. It's an all day thing.
Yeah,
and it varies, from track work in the strength and conditioning gym, in the boxing gym.
Yeah.
And boxing is one of those sports where you got to do it all. It's not just like if you're a runner, you focus on running. If you're a basketballer, you're on the court. With boxing, you got to do everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And running, strength. Your craft. So it's been a long 14 months.
Man, I can imagine you must be craving this fight. As I said, it's the 13th of March. It's probably going to be one of the bigger fights in the country because you haven't seen too much fighting of late with COVID. But given where you're at in your career and obviously so highly ranked across the World Boxing Association, you've had an incredible pedigree of fighting. Like, why? A lot of people are wondering, including myself, like, why Anthony Mundine? Why did this fight make sense for you?
For me, it, like I said, it was a legacy fight for me. That's what my journey's always been about. Legacy. Money never inspired me. It was always about my name, Zerafa, going down in the history books. And Mundine is a fighter that's gone down in the history books. So knocking him out or beating him, getting his name on my resume is a huge deal. Yeah. And a lot of people are bagging this fight, but like I said to people, whether you hate me or love me, you're going to tune in and watch me. 100%. And I just fight whoever's in front of me. That's why I have a team. That's why I have a management team who organise all that for me. Whether it was Mundine standing in front of me March 13 or Floyd Mayweather, or anyone in the top 10, I have the same job as to get the W. And Mundine's, I've idolised him for so long.
Yeah.
And I wanted Tim Tszyu, who, it's a huge fight. Zerafa Tszyu is the most talked about fight in Australian boxing and will happen. He, said that I'm too much of a dangerous fighter at the point of his career. And I understand that. But then we went to Jeff Horn in a trilogy fight. He didn't want that. He said Zerafa's too hard of a fight. So there was no one really left for me, and I've beaten everybody else. I'm not sitting at number one in Australia as a middleweight because I've beaten everyone in Australia. So I've cleaned up my backyard. Mundine was the only one that I hadn't ticked off the list, and I've always wanted to. And the fight even approached. How the fight approached was I was at a special guest venue with him, and he didn't like the fact that I was there. And
I'm pretty sure I've seen this.
Yeah,
There's footage of you like talking like you guys are interviewing all nice, and all of a sudden you just start going at each other.
So
It's
it
just
started
like
as a joke, a bit of like back and forth banter, and then Mundine didn't like that I always had answers because they're calling me the next Anthony Mundine, and he didn't like that. So he had a lot to say about it. Then we got face to face, and there was a few words said, and he reckons he could knock me out. I said, mate, let's do it. You know what I mean? So all on the line for me now. I've put it all on the line, and it's a big fight. And I truly believe I'll beat him. This is what I was born to do.
Yeah. So how old is Mundine now?
So he's 44. But again, like people say he's 44 years old, he's past his best. But he's not a 44-year-old sitting at the pub. You know what I mean? He's an athlete. There's athletes all around the world, that are still in peak condition. Floyd Mayweather. You got Pacquiao. You got
100%.
Bernard Hopkins, who didn't win a world title until he was 50.
100%.
So, and you can't beat his experience. He's been in there with the best. You know what I mean? If you look at his resume, he's fought the best.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm taking this fight very, very seriously, and it's a must-win for me.
Yeah, it's a fight we're all waiting for, but it's crazy because when you look at your fighting career, you've had some tough fights.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't been gifted, many W's, and if you have KO'd people, like it's been through skill. But when he says things like he doesn't know how to come through the trenches, like, do you just take that with a grain of salt, or is he doing that to stir the pot, or does he generally think that?
For me, I'm experienced now. I've been all around the world, and I know that he's already doubted himself. When he's coming up with lines like that, I mean, I've been in the trenches with some of the best in the world, if not bigger names than some of the people he's fought. Peter Quillen, 32-0 with 30 knockouts, the WBO world champion. I fought him at 23 years old, in his backyard for the world title. Kell Brooks, another big name, Arif Magomedov, the Russian world champion. I've been in there with some of the best. But look, I just brush it off. It doesn't mean that. If I was having my first or second fight, it'd probably get to me. But I'm 30 fights in now. I'm professional. I'm seasoned.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just, if you've got something to say about that, that's just, you're doubting yourself already before the fight's even approached.
100%. You mentioned Tim Zhu and obviously the relation to his father, the great Costa Zhu. And speaking about those fights, Australian boxing is craving for that fight because it probably arguably is the biggest fight. I mean, Tim Zhu's got a great record. Your record's incredible for the amount of fights and the quality of fights you've had. And I've heard you say this before, styles make fights.
100%. And we're very similar.
Yeah.
He's fighting guys that are tough, but boxing IQ is not the highest. And, he's never fought anybody like me at my level. And similar style, but more experienced. The bigger fighter, the stronger fighter. And that's why I say, like, you put it all down in paper. And I'm favourite. But none of that, like I was mentioning, styles make fights, and he'll struggle with me. I know that for a fact, and he knows that for a fact. And, he never admits it in front of camera. It's always off camera. So it's a shame. But, we're getting very, very close because the virus is basically limiting us to fight overseas and whatnot. So after our fights now, there's only really each other.
There's not many options, right?
Our teams are back and forth in negotiations, and I'm praying. Like I said, I'm praying for that fight. And they're saying it's bigger than Mundine Green. So, that's a positive.
And now you've moved into the Ellis Boxing Gym. Obviously, the famous world champion Lester Ellis and his sons have opened up an environment down there in Melbourne. I guess, can you speak us through what that transition's been like for you as a fighter? Yeah,
transition's been good. I'm a kind of fighter that likes to always grow. I don't like to settle. And, I don't like saying the word jumping from gym to gym, but I like adapting to other environments. And I get very mentally drained if I'm just doing the same things over and over. So I like to change my environment, meet new people and just learn, different things. But, going to the Alice's was great. They're a young bunch of people. So we mentally connect. And the training's been good. Like I said, I've been in camp for 14 months and I've had a real long time to perfect everything. Yeah. And like I said, come March 13, I get to go out there and lay it all out and hopefully get the W. But the facilities there are unreal, and I like it. It's good. Everything's going to plan. I can't fault anything.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the gym because they're doing some pretty cool and I think innovative stuff in the industry. a bit of a flip on the industry is some of these super fights that are being developed globally with like Logan Paul, Mayweather.
It's I support it because some of the guys that participate are my friends.
Yeah.
And I wish them all the best in their careers. But when you look at the hindsight of the actual sport, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I would hope that never happens is those fights overtake the size of the real fights. Because,
well, that's what's happening. You're seeing
like
you said, the Logan Pauls and all that, but they're huge. They've got a huge following. So, but you got KSI, who I've done work with previously. I had a podcast and stuff. Yeah, so
no way.
Yeah, he was checking me. He called me up, and we had a podcast and stuff, and he was looking at my box rec, and we're talking about fights. And when he comes down to Australia, we're going to link up. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Dope, bro.
But at least they got a huge following. You know what I mean? And they both know that they're not legitimate fighters. They're just like, let's put on a show on an undercard somewhere. But like I mentioned, there's other fighters, there's other celebrities out there that are like, Barry Hall, for example, and Paul Gallen. I mean, these guys aren't legitimate fighters, but they're getting pay-per-view mainstream.
It's unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But unfortunately, I don't have the power to change that. I just got to accept it. But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, fair. So if we take it back, I guess, to you when you sort of got yourself started into boxing, I mean, what was one of the main reasons that got you gravitated towards the ring and fighting as sort of to build that to an actual career?
So when I was a little kid, I actually said to my mum, I was about 7 years old, and I said, I'm going to quit school, quit everything. I don't want to go to school. Sorry, I wasn't at school at that point. I said, I want to be a world champion. And obviously my mum's like, yeah. And I literally just never lost faith. I have the same vision I had at 7 years old. I still have that same vision now, and it's so weird. I always say to friends and stuff, I wish you could see what I mean by like that same vision. It's crazy. And even when I'm walking around the house, I still replay it and visualize and do the MC call out, and the new and it's just weird. But I just knew I could mix it with the best in the world, and knowing I could have that one fight and change my family, my friends, and lives motivates me. And it's always, like I said, it's always about giving back. I've never been interested in being a millionaire and having hundreds of millions of dollars. That's not what it's about. It's about setting a goal, chasing it, and like I said, when I eventually get married and have kids and stuff, I don't want them to go through the same struggle I went through. It's been a hard journey, and I never want that for my family.
100%.
And just keep pushing. Like I said, I don't fight for me, and I always say this. I died years ago, and there's other ways to make money. I mean, I could literally clean toilets if I wanted to make money. It's not about that. It's that legacy. Michael Zerafa, what did Michael Zerafa leave behind? And it's all about legacy for me. There's a lot of, before there's any ups, there's so many downs, and people only see, what's on TV and what's portrayed in the media, but no one sees what goes on behind the scenes. You know what I mean? All the no's that you got, all the setbacks you got. It's a whole bunch of things. Before you get one yes, there's 1,000 no's, and no one sees that. And I wake up every morning and say, I'm over this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. And whilst I'm driving to the gym, you know what I mean? So you question yourself 24/7. Do I really want to do this? But then you smile while you're saying it, because it is. Yeah. And for me, visualization has just been such a big part of my career. And I think I've just always been born like that. I don't know. Just even when I was a little kid, like, I've always wanted it. If you were walking around, you had the freshest kicks. I needed to have them. If someone had the latest Adidas jacket, I needed to have it. Like, that's just how I've always been. And someone's got my world title belt, and I need to have it. Yeah. So I always just play that in my head, and that's why I think I've been successful. Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man. I mean, I'm a big one on like manifestation and visualization, even just talking things into existence. Yeah. I mean, the perfect example of that is Conor McGregor, when he was like running through that period of like Mystic Mac and like saying, I'm going to knock this person out there and that. And like when you truly believe it, stuff happens. And I think when you come back to just you sort of going through your junior boxing career, obviously you wouldn't have been invincible. I mean, as you said, you may not have the most talent, but you're going to work the hardest.
That's why I truly believe hard work beats talent. I know there's a lot of like sayings and cliche, this and that, but it really works, because not everyone can do certain things. Not everyone's gifted. I mean, some people can run, some people can't run, some people can swim. So I can't swim. So, there's certain things that I've had to just like learn to do. And being hard work, if someone said, give me 10, I would always do 11, 12, because in my head, it's in the bank. Yeah. And I'm a big believer it's in the bank. And then when it comes time to spending it, you've got more cash. And it's always worked for me. And no matter what, sometimes you can rock up to a fight or an event and give 200%, and it still doesn't go your way. It's just that's life.
Yeah.
And that's just the way the world, is built, really.
In somewhat, I've spoken of this before to some previous fighters on this show. Like, it's a bit of a metaphor for life, like that losing in the ring and then getting back in, and that in itself being a victory, or just for some people, just getting in the ring. I mean, for you, having some losses and tough experiences as a kid, but like still turning up, getting in the ring, going through all those incredible fights you've had. I mean, I want to talk to the Kell Brooks one as well, because that was one that I watched.
Yeah.
Like, do you think it's powerful to experience some losses in boxing as a kid and then find that sort of on your feet and get back into it?
100%. Like this, there needs to be setbacks in life, no matter what. Like, it could be in a training session. I have them all the time. Yesterday, a perfect example. I wasn't as sharp. I had a sparring session on Sunday, and then I was immaculate. I looked the best I've ever looked. And then yesterday I had a sparring session, and everything went wrong. And, I'm 2 weeks into my fight. It's like, it starts playing on your head, but you can't dwell on it. I mean, there needs to be, I don't feel it's a loss. It's a learning curve. And it's either win or you learn. And a lot of people say that. And I just try to break down where I went wrong. And, I'm one of those people that the smallest things in the world can tick me off. And I've got a strange brain, the way it works. But, yeah, like I could be at a red light for too long and it will upset my whole day.
Really?
And it's the smallest things. I could get a bad haircut and, everyone around me is going to hear about it.
But you'll go 12 rounds with
But
Kell
I'll go
Brooks.
12 rounds. It's
How does that
trying
work,
to,
man?
Yeah, it's trying to switch. Your brain will always go on and off. Am I good enough? Your brain's programmed, and I learned this from a psychologist, your brain is programmed to be negative.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
in all of us.
Yeah.
And,
Survival.
that's where, like, even if you go anywhere, like, it's programmed to be negative. It's just it's your body protecting itself. And I feel like that's where you do the biggest growing. And that separates the difference between good and great, in any sport, is taking that bad experience, whether it be a loss or a bad training session or, why didn't I get picked or whatever it may be, and work on why, and don't feel sorry for yourself. Just break it down and find the main source of what went wrong. For me, it could be at a red light. I could have a bad training session because I've waited too long at a red light, or a sound of a horn behind me in a car. If I shouldn't be saying this, but look at my phone and the it's green light and the car behind me toots the horn. That's upset me, and it's just breaking it down.
The difference is, though, is that you probably can get out of the car and just give one look at them and then they'll drive right away.
I've had a few of those. Bit of road rage.
They're like, oh, shit, wrong
Zerafa.
person.
Yeah. I've had a few of those.
I bet.
They've come up to the side of my window and tried to say something. They're like, oh, it's Zerafa.
Yeah, you picked the wrong car, brother.
Yeah. But look, it's all about just learning and finding out where the difference between good and great and world champions and the average is 1%. And that's why they always, reiterate 1%ers, because the difference isn't much. And I've been all around the world and fought and trained and sparred with the best in the world. Manny Pacquiao's gym with, like I mentioned, Miguel Cotto, Provodnikov and Shane Mosley Jr. and some big names. And there's not much difference. It's just that they know how to turn it on and off, that 1%. And they won't let, even if something does upset them or throw them off, how to bring it back, separate their problems, and not like people say, like, if I have a problem at work, leaving it at work, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
Just separating your problem.
Man, I think that's a diamond what you said, win or learn.
Win or learn.
I mean, because it's you can lose every day, or you can learn every day.
100%, yeah. And it's just the way you take it. I
Yeah.
mean, you can win every day or learn every day. And that's, the way you look at it is up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned some of those fighters and gyms that you've been to and some people you've sparred. Do you have any sort of fighters that you idolize growing up, or certain styles that you're like?
For me, I'm a huge fan of Miguel Cotto.
Yeah.
I nearly passed out when I walked in the gym and he was wrapping up and told me I was going to spar. And for me, that was probably the highlight of my career.
No way.
He someone I look up to because he's same as me. He doesn't back away from a fight. He wants to fight everybody, and he's been in there with the best. And he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a family man, and he doesn't care. He just wants to leave that legacy behind. And he's a Hall of Famer now, and I'm grateful, and I thank God I got to share the ring and meet him.
That's insane.
And it was phenomenal. And he said to me, he goes, "This kid's going to be a world champion." So I've had some great experiences in life, and some things people would never get to see. So I'm very, very grateful.
Man, so when you're around some of these guys and these fighters and those big fights that you've had, and you get that praise, and for instance, the Kell Brooks fight where it's world championship quality fight, he's a former world champion. You went to his hometown, and you said that the first round was like a bit of a roller coaster, but
crazy.
It actually worked in your favor, in my opinion, because you won more praise because of how you responded to that first round.
Well, mate, I remember walking out, and they were the most feral crowd I've ever had in my life. I was not very liked.
So what year was this fight? That was
This was 2 years ago.
2018?
Or 2018, end of 2018, December, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember walking out, 20,000 plus people. And it was basically, I only had 4 people that come up with me and my team that were on my side. And then I had the rest that were pretty much cursing me. And I got in the ring. Like I said, I had Michael Buff as my ring announcer. I had all these famous people and actors and other fighters and promoters all in the venue. And then Kell Brooks walked out, and again, someone who I've idolised, looked up to, former IBF world champion, been in there with the best, beaten the best. So I got a little bit of stage fright towards seconds before that bell rang. And the first round was probably, I remember going back after the first round, and I said, stuff this. And then again, I found that switch, and I had to flick it. It was either lose or learn how to to bounce back, and that was the decision I had to make. And I said, you know what, he's just a man with 2 arms and a head, and he bleeds red. And I said, so there's no difference between him and I. It's just who wants it more. And unfortunately, I started too slow, and I was playing catch up. But like I said, I had great things come out of that fight. After the fight, he came up to me and said, "Mate, you had us worried a few times. I hit him with some big shots and had him wobbled a few times." And he said, "Mate, at 26, I wasn't fighting Kell Brooks." He said, "Mate, you got a huge, huge career." Yeah. And again, it comes down to how bad you want it. Yeah. It's it's all in the mind. Yeah. And the brain is the strongest thing in the world, and a lot of people need to understand how to correlate with
work with it, right?
Work with it, yeah.
Because that fight was obviously in his hometown in the UK, Matchroom Boxing. Eddie Hearn, the famous promoter, was sitting ringside, and you won yourself so much applause there and credit. But are those the type of fights that eventually Michael Zerafa wants to go out again? And
100%. I'll fight anybody. I'll never take a backward step. My team ring me, they say, "Mick, we're fighting." I say, "What's the date?" I don't even ask who it is. Because like I said earlier, whether you're in front of me, the world champion's in front of me, Mundine's in front of me, I have the same job. It's like driving. If you're worrying about what everybody else is doing, you do your heading. You just get in the car and you just worry. You just focus on yourself. Yeah. You know what you're doing. You're in control. And that's what I do when I fight. I just switch on. I say, "Mick, before I go out there, I just say a few words to myself. This is it now. And I take that last breath before the bell. And I leave it in God's hands. Yeah, man. I just do me, and it's worked. It's working, but can't always be on top. There's what goes up must come down, and there's always fresh young guys, fresh hungry kids that look up to me, and they'll probably do the same to me one day, like I'm doing to Mundine. Like I idolized him as a kid. Now I'm getting the shot to take over, pass the torch, and lead the way, and I'm sure there's a lot of kids. I know there's a lot of kids that are doing the same now, and
100%.
I've had guys say, "Man, I'm a huge fan, and I'll fight you one day," and they're doing it to me now. So it's just a big circle, and it's going around, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. And like I said, I thank God, and I just enjoy what I do.
Right. Has there been a defining fight or moment in or outside the ring that for you has made you, I guess, as tough as who you are and as focused as who you are, or have you kind of always just been like this?
I've always been like that. I'm just super competitive. Whether I'm at an arcade with a friend or I'm playing marbles or doing something, I'm just super competitive. A perfect example today, I was at the track doing a photo shoot, and we're just taking photos, but I'm sitting there trying to sprint off and beat these guys. Like, mate, we're not even racing, I just have to be the best at anything I do. Yeah. And if I'm shooting hoops with someone, I have to win. If I'm, like I said, anything I do, and I get very salty if I lose. But again, you just learn why you lost and how that person beat you.
Yeah.
And it might happen once, twice, but eventually you grow. And
Yeah.
as long as you grow each time, that's moving forward. You don't have to move forward quickly,
Yeah.
but like I said, you walk forward. You don't drive in reverse. Everything you do is you're moving forward, and there's a time for everything.
Yeah.
And my time's coming.
Man, if I was playing you in any sort of form of game, I think I'd let you win.
Yeah, oh, man, I get.
Or if I did win, I'd keep it on the hush
Yeah.
until you're out the
You'll
room.
know
like,
about it. Trust me. I'm very.
You
salty.
might knock me out.
I'm a bad person to be around. I'm a bit of a sook, and it's just always been, even as a little kid with my cousins and my older sister, and no matter what I did, I had to, be the best. Or like even if my brother got a bigger schnitzel, I'd ask why. You know what I mean? Like
I love that.
I'd count my peas.
Yeah.
I'd always have to have more and be the best at anything I did. And it's a bad trait, I guess, because but I guess that's why I'm so successful.
Yeah,
I mean, I just always
100%.
want better. If I'm running on the track and I'm doing a 4-minute K, in my head I'm like, I can do better. I can always do better. And I just want to just see how far I can go with it all.
Just quickly, you run 4-minute Ks?
I'll do that for 10, 12K.
If anyone, what?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
What?
Can you hear me when I talk to this?
Yeah,
fuck.
maybe we should get.
You should have told me that. I could have been bagging well.
No, I think not all the time.
Oh, no.
No, but seriously, fuck, that's lightning quick.
Yeah. I know.
So what? You're gonna prep for some sort of Tokyo or post boxing, man?
Nah, man, no way. I hate running. I mean, I like it, because it makes me feel good,
Yeah,
and I can eat more.
Yeah.
But I
True.
run to eat.
Yeah.
I got a massive sweet tooth.
Oh, do you?
Oh man, ridiculous.
Ah.
That's what my diet Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
This is what my diet consists of.
Yeah.
It's just sugar. It's fucked.
That's his weakness. So.
Oh man,
If I'm fighting you, I'm going to leave the snakes around the
it's
ring.
the
It
worst.
might
But I
make
do
you
it
have to
like
lose more weight.
I do it. I do it wrong.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their weaknesses.
There's a few fighters that get away with it. There's the basketball Lamar Odom.
Yeah.
He's on a high sugar diet. That's what he lives off too.
Wow.
Long term, it's not good.
Yeah.
But it always, because you're pushing your body so hard, and then eating so clean, for me anyway, it breaks. I'm weak minded like that, but my body will push and run 4-minute Ks and kill itself, because then I know I can go home, watch a movie, and eat a bag of M&Ms and
Yeah.
kind of reward the body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, all right, my body knows I'm going to push this hard because I know I'm going to get this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can eat more and do things.
So speaking of that, because I catch you're pretty tunnel visioned on your fight with Mundine, and whoever's in front of you after that, you're going to be tunnel visioned on that. But you also mentioned 5-10 years, you can't fight forever, and
Correct.
there is a life outside of boxing. I mean, do you have a perspective of what you want to do outside of the ring, like how you balance fighting with something else now as you sort of?
Look, I've always, not many people know this, but I want to open up a barbershop.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I've got a big interest in it, and I cut hair now, and but I want to make it like a real dope place, where like in the waiting room there's flat screens, Xbox, PlayStations, pool tables. Get a little barista in there, and just make it like where the guys go after work, and it's just the boys, just hang out. They get their stuff done, and just make it a really awesome place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
man.
or there's also open up a recovery center, with ice baths and stuff. I can't see myself opening up a gym, and it's not really me. I just more recovery centers, and I don't know. I want to kind of.
Why is that? Is that because you don't feel there's much like that, or you just?
I don't want to be those guys that like, oh, I'm a world champion, or I've done boxing, or I didn't get to where I want to get to, so I'll try to train somebody. You know what I mean? It's for me. I'm not a trainer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I can tell someone, I can hold pads for someone and whatnot, but for me to guide someone to the top, because there's a lot of things I do wrong, and I mentioned my diet and this and that, but it works for me. But I don't know. I feel like once I hang my gloves up, I'm done. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that fighter that still hangs around the sport because they can, because they got a name. You know what I mean? That's why my name, the legacy for me is I make the name for myself, and I don't want to chase it with another athlete or, with it being the best trainer. I want to be a world champion and retire. I'm the world champion. Michael Zerafa did it all. The road to glory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not, he's kind of didn't make it or whatnot, and now he's going to open up a gym and he's just training kids, and
it's
ugly.
It's not you, huh?
It's an ugly scene. For me, like I said, I want to just completely career change or do like a recovery center, like Elite, where I do my strength and conditioning. it's an awesome little place there. You know,
Yeah.
just have a little studio,
it up.
not a gym,
Yeah.
and just zone out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just, have the discussions about my career, not trying to live my dream through someone else.
Yeah.
If that's
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. I mean, I always like, for me, relating to you in that situation, I wanted to do something completely different to soccer.
you know what I mean?
Because I was like, well, I don't want to be defined by that forever. Like, there's other things I want to do.
That's what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I haven't done a lot of things. I've had a hard upbringing, a very, very tough life, and I've missed out on so much. You know, I didn't really go to school. I missed out on a lot of things, and I want to do that afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people say to me, "Oh, why don't you go on holiday?" Well, I'm not a world champion yet, so why am I going to reward myself?
Yeah.
You know, and I'll do all that once I'm done. You know, hopefully I'll have a family by then, and I want to travel with them.
Yeah.
You know, and do the
Yeah.
things I missed out on when I was a kid with them. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I don't drink alcohol. I've never done drugs. I've never been into that scene, going out clubbing and stuff like that. So, which I'm glad,
Yeah.
I'm grateful. But
Yeah.
I love nature. I love just doing all that stuff. Just things I missed out on when I was a kid.
Man, there's another side to the Michael Zerafa.
Yeah.
That's right.
Cutting hair
Haymakers, yeah.
Talk about nature. It's all happening.
Yeah,
Oh,
shit.
soon I'm gonna start crying.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
But,
Hold the tears. No, seriously. So speaking of hanging up gloves, and I'm not referencing you here, but with Anthony Mundine, I mean, let's go back to this fight because they're obviously coming up in 2 weeks. I mean, do you have a prediction? Do you sort of set predictions for yourself of what you want to do, or you just go in there and you let the top?
Look, a lot of fighters have game plans, and they watch and study their fighters, but I've never really done that. I wing it, and that's what you can't really have a plan in something you don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to come out. I don't know what he's going to throw. I don't know his intentions in his head. You know, I don't know. Is it a payday to him? I don't know what he's thinking. And again, it goes back to you just focus on yourself like driving. And I go out there, just basically wing it. And look, I think I'll stop him. I hope I stop him. But I just take it round by round. We've got 12 rounds. And I literally just assess round by round.
Yeah.
I never think, in round 2, I never think about round 7. Even in round 1, even in the time, if it's a minute 20 in, I'm not thinking about 2 minutes 20. I'm a minute 20 in. I can't think ahead, and because in boxing, like you know the sport, it can change in seconds.
Yeah.
You think it's a jab, it's a right hand, or you think it's an uppercut and it's a hook, and it's all over. So, like I said, I just go out there and just tread carefully and just be smart.
Yeah.
Be smart. Bring my boxing IQ in.
Can't wait to watch it, man. For those listening, March 13th, Michael Zerafa, Anthony Mundine out at Bendigo. Get your money on the pretty boy, man. He's gonna come flying, no doubt. It's gonna be a great fight, and obviously we've touched on in the show today some of the plans for the year, which could be even more grand for the sport of boxing in this country, man. So, big thank you for you to coming on the show, man.
This is an awesome setup, man.
Yeah,
it's unreal on the Unlaced. It's doing great things, big things, and I look forward to be back, brother.
Yeah, man. Can't wait. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming back. Season 1's coming this year. We're coming back bigger and better. So. Keep tuning in, keep following, subscribe if you can. And March 13th, let's tune into this fight.